Alright, huge movie fanatic Nate coming at you this time with a video that's very different than most of the videos I do on this channel. I'm coming at you to basically share with you a Best Buy ad, weekly ad from November 1st, 1992. This is something that I've just, for whatever reason, never threw away. And I thought, being like basically 25 years old to the month, thought it'd be cool to take a look at this and in a video and share with you guys. Just for, I mean, this Best Buy ad is a quarter of a century old, and I just thought it'd be interesting to see, for you people who have never seen a Best Buy ad from 1992, how technology back then was. In particular, it'd be interesting to see, you know, computers and TVs and VCRs and things like that. So here's the first page, or the cover, or whatever you want to call it. Looks like you got a Packard Bell computer here, a complete package with a monitor, a keyboard, and a computer itself, and a printer and stuff. We're looking at $1,768 here for a computer, and that's the hard drive it has is a 170 megabyte hard drive. I mean, that obviously by, you know, standards 25 years later is very small. 4 megabyte memory. I mean, this is just kind of interesting or amusing to look at. Obviously not being a fridge enthusiast, I can't really comment on the fridge or the cost of this fridge here with the free ice maker, but you got a 19, over here we got a 19-inch Sanyo tube TV, obviously, for $199.86. Beauty and the Beast here was really new on video at this time, on VHS. So there's a little blurb here for $10.77 after mail-in rebate of $5. This is the, you know, the only means really to watch movies back then at home was a VCR. You had a sharp VCR here with 4 head special effects and remote control for $219.64. And it's something, you know, here's a 6-disc CD changer by Pioneer. And really, you know, for being a 6-disc CD changer, 147, you know, I would have thought it would be more money. That's really not a bad price for back then. But what I was going to comment on is all this stuff has changed, like the TVs and the VCR is no longer a means to, you know, watch movies at home, or at least the primary means. And it's really kind of cool that, you know, although a lot of people, younger people and stuff, are pretty much just digital downloading music and stuff, but CDs, you know, are still, you know, obviously a big, huge primary, probably the most primary thing still being sold for music, which is something that I wish could happen with movies, where you just have a format like Blu-ray, for example. I mean, I was fine with DVD for the rest of my life, and I've made videos talking about 4K Blu-ray and stuff, and just being sick of a new format every 7 years or whatever. And it's just so cool that CD has been the primary music format for so many decades, and I just wish that could happen with movies, where it's just like, okay, let's leave it at Blu-ray and just stick with it for a while. But anyway, I'm rambling. Flipping the page, we got on the top 20% off all home speakers here with any receiver purchase. Yay. This Dolby surround sound receiver here is interesting because, like, I don't know, probably 1 or 2 years after this ad was printed, I'd get a Sony receiver very much like this one in the picture. It would be my first, you know, back in this time, early 90s, Dolby Surround Pro Logic was the best home theater option, where it basically takes 2-channel stereo and makes it into a phony, fake, you know, simulated surround, where it'll, you know, put things that are equally, you know, dispersed between the right and left channels in the center, and stuff that are more, you know, belong on the outer sides of the speakers will put in the mono rear channel, even though you had a right rear and a left rear. It was just the same fake kind of non-discrete rear channel made by the Dolby Pro Logic surround receiver. But, you know, it's kind of cool seeing the picture of this receiver and knowing that, you know, in a year or two later I'd get one very similar. As a matter of fact, the remote would be, I think, pretty much the exact same thing as that, and that Dolby Pro Logic Surround, or Dolby Surround Pro Logic receiver would offer years and years and hours of home movie, soundtrack or surround enjoyment for a teenage Nate. So that's kind of interesting. On the bottom we got dual cassette deck with Dolby HX Pro. I love it when they have auto reverse as a feature, like, ooh, let's make a big huge deal about that. So it says on deck 2, so I'm assuming that deck 1 doesn't have auto reverse. Okay. And then going to the next page, I'm a Sony guy, so I kind of get, excited or whatever you want to call it. Not in that way, but interested or excited when I see older Sony items. Here you've got, and I'm still surprised, really. I mean, for this being a Sony product and being a 5-disc CD changer in 1992, it's really not that expensive, $229. So, looking at this 25-year-old ad, the price really isn't as high as one would think it might be. And underneath that, we got a programmable CD player by JVC for $127.78. Underneath that, you have an RCA CD player with remote, $117.93. But this is it. I mean, this was the best way, or well, some people would argue vinyl sounds better than CD. I'm more of a CD person, although, I've turned vinyl, in the beginning, like in the early 2000s or whatever, and I just got sick of the, I don't know, potential skips and stuff like that. So I just, my favorite way of listening to music and audio in general is CD and, ripped MP3s, ripping either downloaded MP3s or ripping MP3s off of CDs. I never really got too much into that resurgence of vinyl that happened or whatever, but here at the bottom corner you see this guy who's like this detective. I can't, this is the I don't know, little sales gimmick or whatever Best Buy was having in the early 90s. I can't remember if this character had a name or not, but as you can see, their little gimmick here is Best Buy's secret shoppers shop the competition, so you don't have to. I imagine this guy was on the commercials and stuff. There's probably maybe even on YouTube commercials of that guy in it, but I can't remember if they had a name for him or what. But that was their little sales gimmick at the time. Flipping the page, we got little compact systems here. Looks like Casio. I don't think there's not at that price, there's not going to be a CD player in there. Well, look at this one, Magnavox. You actually got a turntable on the top. No CD player, I don't think. Look at this frickin' mini micro system, frickin' JVC. Now that's more the prices that I would expect to see in this kind of stuff back in the day. $647 for a frickin' micro shelf system, although it does have a six disc cartridge. I hate those kind of CD changers. The cartridges, they just can get frickin' just stuck and jammed and all that crap. Load the 6-disc cartridge and enjoy hours of non-stop music. You can also program up to 32 songs in any order. I mean, who does that? From any or all discs. High-speed dubbing, dual cassette deck with auto reverse on one deck. But if you want auto reverse on 2, you can forget about it. Digital AM/FM tuner with 40 station presets. I don't know if there's even 40 stations. Speakers and remote control. Then of course you've got your, oh my gosh, right next to it you've got your budget version of a compact CD stereo system, Lloyd's, for $178.84. You got a top-loading single CD and probably a couple radio and a couple tape decks here. So there you go. On the bottom we really get into the high buck stuff for the early 90s here. Pioneer, $797.82 for this mammoth thingamabob here. My grandparents in the 80s got something like this, where it had the 2 huge speakers that flanked the system, and then the system itself. CD player was on the bottom, and the above that was the 2 tapes and the equalizer or whatever, and at the top they actually had a on the top of it actually had a record player, but my mom still has that, so the speakers we actually still use because the woofers in those things were just freaking huge. But that was my first introduction into to the world of CDs, and I actually, before I ever had a CD player, I actually got my first CD I ever bought was the soundtrack of Miller's Crossing, and I remember bringing the CD to my grandma's house and a tape so I could put it on the tape so I could listen to the soundtrack anytime I wanted to with the tape. But I wouldn't get a CD player until 1993, I don't think, in a little shelf system. But as you can see here on the right, $1,147 for this Dolby Pro Logic surround sound system, 260 watt mammoth thingamabob. And at that price, it's very surprising to me that it doesn't have a turntable on the top, because that's quite a lot of money, and you think you'd have a turntable, but alas, I guess not. Flipping the page here, on the top here we got something which was the only way to listen to music on the go in 1992, basically a cassette Walkman, or just an AM/FM radio. You got, me being a Sony guy, it's kind of cool and actually surprising to see that this Sony AM/FM cassette Walkman is only $25.98 in 1992. But it is, and I guess you got the Sanyo next to it is more expensive because it's got a pedometer, I guess. I was actually surprised, having revisited or relooked at this ad, to see that you could get a pedometer in 1992. I thought that was more of a recent technology, but I guess not. And then for those people on more limited budgets or kids or whatever, you got a kind of a generic Craig $8.80 tape player. I'm sure that worked like a charm, and a FM stereo Walkman by Sony, or just a plain set of JVC headphones for $7.94. Now this thing underneath is very exciting to see, as me being a Sony guy. The Car Discman, Sony, decade of music, up to 3 CDs free when you buy any Sony CD player. I don't know what the hell that decade of music's supposed to mean, but here you got a Sony, basically they're calling it a car Discman, a Walkman that's a CD player. And I'm really surprised, actually, that this thing is only $199 for 1992, and being a Sony as well. But you got CD sound for your car, on the go, or at home. Includes everything you need for car, portable, or home use. Random shuffle play. Like, who does that? I guess, well, if you do that, feel free to leave a, say so in the comments. But I've never been a shuffle guy or program guy. I just like to listen to CDs as they're presented. But random shuffle play and 3 repeat modes. High speed audible search. I don't know, that must just mean fast forward. Anti-shock mechanism, reduces skipping. Slim lightweight styling. Ooh, accessories included. Car cassette adapter, car battery cord, AC adapter, and line cord. But for $199 you get the Discman, if you will, and I guess the accessories needed to use it in your car if you wanted to. And then for those who can't afford the Sony, you got a portable CD player minus the car accessories, I would imagine. JVC here for $117.82. Hyper bass, yeah, man. And then on the top, or on the right side of this particular page, we got a Sanyo CD dual cassette boombox for $138.99 here, with a top loading CD player. Lets you program 16 songs in any order. Like, again, if any of you guys used the program and did your album in the order you wanted to hear the tracks, feel free to speak up in the comments and say, oh, I love that function, but I never did that function and never will. I guess I can't say that. I never have. CD boombox with detachable speakers here, JVC for $197.98. Top loading CD player, looks like, and I love it. I love these kind of descriptions. Full featured CD player, like, versus the featureless CD player that doesn't play CDs, with 20 track programming. There you go. Intro scan, which must just play like first couple seconds and then go to the next or something. Random and repeat play, high speed dubbing, yeah. I love when they put like, what's it, 3-band graphic equalizer on these things. It just tries to make it seem like it's got more than it does. Then underneath, I'm really surprised about this price, particularly being RCA, but, oh wow, look at this. This is really high-tech for 1992. It looks like this boombox has a drawer loading CD where the drawer actually ejects, like in a Blu-ray player or DVD player or something. That's really something I didn't know existed in '92. I guess I can understand why it's $248.90, but you got a remote control CD boombox here, sing-along karaoke style, built-in subwoofer, which I'm sure rocked the house in a boombox in 1992, but whatever, by RCA. Like I say, if that had been a Sony right here, I'd be a little more excited or whatever, but that, you know, someone paying $248 for a boombox is, yeah, really got the funds, I guess. And then you just got this $27.92 AM/FM cassette boombox by Craig, yet again. Auto stop, I love that. Oh wow, it stops when the tape's done. Oh my god. And then boombox with detachable speakers. I mean, this just looks like one tape and obviously probably radio for $59.88. Very exciting stuff. Turning the page, we got, this isn't very as exciting. Look at this though, 35-inch tube TV for $1,497 by GE. I mean, holy cow, look at that surround sound stereo TV. Look at Matrix surround sound. There's that guy again. Our secret shoppers shop the competition so you don't have to. Pretty nice gimmick there. But obviously that's looks like the most expensive and the biggest TV on this page. It's insane to think that, you know, a 35-inch tube TV was that much money. And obviously being GE, I mean, they're probably good. If it was a Sony, it'd probably be $2,000 or something like that for that size at the time. But I would end up getting something very similar to this MTS stereo sound. Well, it wasn't stereo, but this RCA TV here for $249.86. My remote would look very similar to that. But at the same time, at that year actually, '92, I got a TV very similar to that. I think it was pretty much that size, but it wasn't stereo. For my room, I got that, but. Yeah, tube TV is not a whole lot to see here, but I think we'll skip on to the next page after we take a quick look at this. You got the top of the page, you got your most expensive, and then at the bottom corner here, a $47.74 4.5-inch black and white AC/DC TV here. Kind of interesting. That's you know, to watch TV in a kitchen or whatever the hell, wherever the hell, bathtub. Switching to the next page here, we got the VCR page. Forehead Quick Start VCR by Sharp for $219.64. Jitter-free special effects for more viewing options. Now, for you people that are younger or whatever, may not have had a VCR, what that means is, at the time, forehead was kind of a big deal, because before forehead, I don't know how many heads were on a VCR before forehead, if it was 2 or 3 or whatever, but what forehead basically meant, as far as I know, is that when you fast forwarded or paused, you know, normally on an older VCR, if you fast forwarded or paused, it'd basically just be like snow or whatever, kind of a lot of noise on the screen. So a forehead VCR allowed you to fast forward and pause in slow motion without that, you know, snow and excess noise or fuzz or whatever the hell you want to call it. So that was I think in the early 90s the forehead was kind of more of a luxury, and of course, you know, forehead, you know, hi-fi stereo forehead was, well, you probably couldn't get a hi-fi stereo VCR that wasn't forehead, but incidentally in 1992 was the year I got my first hi-fi stereo VCR, which was a big, huge deal for, you know, a teenage Nate at the time, you know, really, obviously being a huge movie fanatic since day one, and really, a friend of mine had a hi-fi stereo VCR, and I got my first glimpse, or heard my first hi-fi stereo VCR experience in 1991, and I was like, holy crap. I didn't know that you could watch movies in stereo at home, and then, I was just instantly like needed a stereo VCR, hi-fi stereo VCR. 25 years ago in 1992, I got my first hi-fi stereo VCR, and I can tell you, I mean, that really made watching movies, just so much more cool. Like, I remember one of the first movies I watched in stereo in my room was Predator, man, and just this is not even surround, this is just 2-channel, stereo. But I mean, even now, if you take the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever and just watch that movie and just with the 2 speakers or whatever, you can understand what I meant. I mean, going from mono, a little sound coming out of your TV, to that in Predator was just wow. It just had such great panning sound effects and stereo, everything in that, and just wow. So that was really cool. But you got your VCR page here, and obviously this 13964 Craig probably, yeah, it doesn't have a forehead. If you just like to watch why pay for recording features you don't need? Just pop in a tape and it automatically turns on and plays, rewinds and ejects and turns itself off. For those of you who are too lazy to get off the couch. Quick start feature, digital tracking, jet search. If you want to find your, the plane in the sky that you're looking to, see if your flight's on time, it's got a jet search mode, and handy remote control. So these are your oh wow, look at this. VCR options for 1992. At the bottom corner, we got a JVC for $349.92, forehead and VCR plus programming, jog shuttle remote. But wait a second here. This doesn't look at the audio video plug on the front. This probably isn't even stereo. Holy crap! How can they ask $349 for a VCR that's not even stereo? And then next to it you got a Sanyo. Incidentally, that's the first hi-fi stereo VCR I would get 25 years ago. Not this one here, but probably a lesser of a model. This looks a little more, actually no, mine had the flip down door at the bottom too. I've still got it. It doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't play tapes anymore, but I've still got it. This is a forehead hi-fi by Sanyo. The hi-fi sound with DBX noise reduction adds extra life to music videos, concerts, and movies. I was going to say, it works good with movies too. Jitter-free video effects because it's forehead, slow motion, frame advance, and still frame, built-in auto head cleaner. Oh gosh, don't even get me started on the dirty heads. VHS index search and real-time counter, better, as opposed to the fake or fraudulent false time counter. Look at this unified TV VCR remote. Oh gosh, these, the good old days or bad old days. I mean, I obviously greatly like DVD and Blu-ray more than VHS, so I'm kind of, as even though it's nostalgic to look at these VCRs and it reminds you of easier, simpler times. Actually, no, because I was in high school, so there was worse times. But I don't know what I was getting at. Anyway, flipping the page here, we'll beat their lowest prices on camcorders. Here you've got the compact VHS-C camcorder by JVC for $699.87. I never had a VHS-C. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, and you needed a playback adapter, and oh my god. If you don't know what VHS-C is, I don't know, do a search online and find out what it is. This video is already probably going way too long, and having actually looked at this ad recently just now, I was actually surprised to see here that they actually had 8mm cameras in 1992. I didn't think that was something that came along until later, but I guess high 8 is what would come out later, maybe mid to late 90s or whatever, and that's what I would get. I would end up getting a Sony high 8 camera in maybe 98 or something like that. And it's interesting to note that this RCA VHS, this is the only one on the page or in the ad that's a full-size VHS camcorder. this RCA here for $798.73, I would end up with something very similar to it. You might as well just say pretty much that. I don't think we paid that. I can't imagine we paid that much for it. But I would end up with something basically like that a year later in 1993, I think. I think in the fall or whatever, I was like doing good in school, or good enough in school for my parents to warrant getting me what I've wanted for years and years and years at that time, which was a full-size VHS camcorder, and this one would basically be what I'd end up getting. So it's kind of interesting to see that in this old ad here. So once again, good old days. Flipping the page here, we've got Sega Genesis 16-bit core system. This was one of the two systems, I believe, that was, well, then there was also that insanely expensive, what was it called, Neo Geo at the time, which none of us kids could obviously afford. But the Sega Genesis at the time was one of the two, you know, I guess, best-selling, or one of the two main video games consoles at the time. And I'm actually surprised that they don't, you know, that obviously the other being Super Nintendo, and I'm very surprised that they don't show Super Nintendo as well in the ad, but maybe it's like Coke and Pepsi or something. Maybe they can't have one or both of them next to each other, or whatever. But actually I'm kind of surprised to see how inexpensive it is for the basic system here. Their system and a controller, $89.96, is actually surprising. As you can see with some of the video game prices down here, I mean, that's only twice the cost of a game for this actual system. I can't believe that. And it says all Genesis video games on sale. I don't know if these are the sale prices and they're actually more than this, because when I looked at this hockey game for $53.96 on a 16-bit Sega Genesis game, I'm like, holy crap. And that's on sale. I mean, all these prices are pretty ridiculous, except for maybe Green Dog. And incidentally, I've never heard of, you know, I was obviously a teenager at the time playing these games at the time, and I've never heard of Green Dog. When I saw that game title just recently after finding this ad, I'm like, what the hell is Green Dog? And for your music aficionados, here at the bottom of the page, you got a keyboard with 61 full-size keys for $169.98 here, freestand even. 2 stereo speakers by Casio. And then on the right side of this page, we got some cameras here, basically just point and shoot. Of course, at the time, it was nothing but 35mm film. Well, not just 35, but we'll just say nothing. It was to take pictures if you were doing it on film in 1992. We'll put it that way. Most of it was 35, but then there were some other goofy kind of whatever, other kinds of goofy film options as well. And this Canon SLR at the bottom here is something I would end up getting. I think it would be 1996 or 1997, and you know, not decades, but years of SLR 35mm picture taking enjoyment, until of course I'd get a digital SLR, which is way more enjoyable than having to wait to see what the pictures look like and taking the film and getting, you know, paying to get it processed and all that crap. And then turning the page, you've got a full page spread here of basically 3 Packard Bell computer packages here, the most expensive being, this is insane looking at this. We're going to just talk about, you can pause and look at all these if you so choose, but we're just going to talk about this frickin', you know, $2,686 computer Packard Bell package. I don't even know what this means. Operates at 50, is that megahertz? I don't know. But holy crap. So for this price, you get a computer with, I don't even know how to, you know, actually physically say this processor thing, but look at this. 245 megabyte hard drive. I mean, holy crap, 8 megabyte memory. You know, we obviously didn't do internet at the time, so I don't know, I can't comment on this 2400 baud, well, however you say it, international, or internal, I should say, fax/modem, you know, whatever. A lot of this stuff is just, you know, whatever, Greek to me. Dual floppy drives, alright. So anyway, here's your, gosh, to think that people may have spent $2,600, or might as well say $2,700 on that stuff, which, you know, you could basically, all you could really do on it is just use Microsoft Word and print it out on your printer. It's just like, wow. But there you go. That's computers from 25 years ago. And now we're getting on to the stuff on the ad. The remainder of the ad will be pretty much just skimming through it because none of this stuff really interests me very much. We've got the computer, the printers page here, and I'll just, show this from top to bottom, and you can pause and look at it if you so choose. I've got really nothing to say other than the fact that this might as well call it $1,600 printer here at the bottom. I was surprised to see a printer costing that much, because I don't think you can really spend that much for a printer now, or I hope not. Then switching to the next page is more computer crap. I've never been I use computers obviously, but I've never been a computer enthusiast or anything like that. I just like a computer to do what I want it to do, and I'm fine with it. I've never been like a build a computer guy or anything like that. I've been more of a flat top, not a flat laptop, not a I guess Dick Tracy's on my mind. I've been more of a laptop guy myself than a build your computer guy. But, obviously we'll just do a top to bottom of this computer accessory page here, and you can look at it if you so choose. Flipping the page, what do we got? More, this is computer, IBM compatible computer software. So, once again, I'll just show this page from top to bottom, and you can revel in its ancientness. Flipping the page again, we'll beat their lowest price on home office equipment. Yes, I'm still not interested in this stuff. I'm not a big phone guy, so although I guess this is kind of interesting for to see these cordless phones or whatever, and even corded and digital answering machines, which I think were kind of new at the time, tapeless or whatever. And flipping the page, this is a little more interesting. We got some car audio, tape and CD deck here. You got a auto reverse super tuner. Here's something, me being a Sony guy, is kind of interesting. And to be honest, for being a in-dash CD deck in '92 and for being a Sony, $300, really isn't a whole hell of a lot of money. I would expect it to be more like $500 for a Sony in-dash CD deck from '92, but that's what they were selling for in-dash aftermarket, stereo radio decks at the time. And this is something that will probably be a little more of interest to people watching the video, if you're still watching. If you are, thank you very much. On the go, we have what you need to keep in touch. Car-to-car phone here for $79.88. Just plug it into any car lighter, convenient for you, and saves installation fees too. Features like hands-free speakerphone and any key answer capability. I don't know what the hell that means. And auto dial retry. Don't interrupt your driving. They were already making driving dangerous in 1992 and probably years before. With the car-to-car phone, then you've got your pocket-sized cellular flip phone, compact yet packed with features. 30-number memory, 16-digit dialing for long-distance calls, quick dialing, last number recall, which is basically a fancy way of saying redial, I think. 7-character display and an illuminated keypad, visual volume indicator, electronic lock to prevent unauthorized use. Call time, and now your phone freaking scans your eyeball or your face. So that's how far that's come in 25 years. Call timer, low battery warning, and more. Like, ooh, wow! It turns off when the battery is low. So $399.86 for a portable cellular quote-unquote flip phone in 1992. And then flipping the page yet again, we have stuff that completely doesn't interest me whatsoever. Computer desks here, furniture, home entertainment furniture, audio video cabinet, Entertainment center with storage, whoop-de-doo. So, and then on the right side of the page, kitchen and household help, we got microwaves, vacuum cleaners, and heater fans. Oh my. So I think that, oh no, there's another page here. Oh yes, we won't spend very much time on these 2 pages. It is 2 pages of washers and dryers and ovens, and then refrigerators. So I shan't be spending much time talking about this stuff, as I'm not a fan of this stuff, although they are needed, although I use them. We'll put it that way. They're needed to make the modern life more convenient. So, and then flipping to the final page, we've got top hits on CD and cassette. Stock up on CDs, ranging prices from $8.99 to $9.99. Like, what's the point of even saying that? And $5.79 cassettes. So obviously, this being right at the beginning of like freaking whatever Christmas holiday season, we've got your big Christmas entertainment section here with 2 movies and 3 CDs and a couple tapes. But you know, looking at these Scotch VHS tapes here, this 4-pack, we bought a lot of those back in the day. That cover is very familiar to me. But thank you very much for watching this whole, you know, joining me on this trip through memory lane of, you know, basically going back 25 years and taking a look at a Best Buy ad from November 1st, 1992. And thanks to any of you guys that are actually watching and still watching at this point at the end of the video. Thank you very much for doing so, and we'll catch you on the next video.